Good day.
All right, welcome, Antipodean friends, to this. An upside down. This is terrible.
This is actually really challenging for us to look at.
What
is it just because
if you're watching from North America or Europe, which you're in the Northern Hemisphere, this is probably what this looks like to you, but it's completely normal to everybody in Australia and New Zealand.
Paul, did you correct for the Coriolis effect?
Here.
Spin us the opposite way.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. Wonderful. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Loading Ready Run askLRR Q&A panel for Australia time zone. Australia, and New Zealand, and Japan also within that time zone. Many islands.
Ohio.
Yeah. And
Ohio's not in there.
No.
Good. Great.
Vanuatu.
And this is the third of these that are airing during PAX, and also the one for Australia, meaning it's the most laid back because y'all are chill. Mm-hmm. We didn't even get as many questions from the Aussies. I assume good. Ian's cracking into a beer. I assume because from our interactions with Australian fans and viewers that they just didn't want to be a bother. I imagine. Even though we're actively asking for questions, they're like, nah.
They're like, wait,
What?
there's
Surely.
nothing we want to know. You're all fine.
Surely that they are just saying, it's whatever. We don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Oh, don't make a fuss about it.
Yeah.
Don't make a fuss about us.
They'll share if they want to, they think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can ask us your questions privately in Bandland.
No
Man's Land.
Brandland.
I'm liking
Banana
Brandland.
Land.
This is a laid back thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, so okay, I'll tell you what this is going to be. This is we are recreating the spirit of a Loading Ready Run PAX Q&A panel, except I have this cat on my lap who has finally decided he wants to get down, and that involves beginning with a minimal slideshow to share with you some announcements, and then moving on to a Q&A portion, which will be most of the show, where we answer questions that you have provided.
There is a siren going by.
There is a siren going by. It's okay.
Everything about this. Can we take it again? Everybody was kind of very awkward. There was like a cat. Everybody was stumbling over and talking to each other.
I thought that was the point. I thought we were all doing that intentionally.
Keep rolling. There's sirens in Australia too. They know what they sound like.
I mean, well, I'd love to break into another beer at this point. I'm kind of committed.
Now it is on you, New Zealanders, to figure out whether that was a fire engine or whether it was a police car.
It certainly sounded
Or an
like
ambulance.
It was close to my house.
It ended with the weird which is always an interesting one. Let's go to the slideshow. Hey folks, welcome to the PAX Online Q&A for Loading Ready Run. This one, being the Antipode Time Zones edition, serving Australia, New Zealand, Japan. It's just so many islands. So many. I tried to keep that running gag going, and I could not. There are just too many islands to possibly reference in a reasonable amount of time and tech space that I had.
I was definitely, for a long time, thought it was Antipode.
I blame Chrono Trigger for that. There was a spell? Was it a spell or an item in Chrono Trigger that everyone just called Antipode? And I don't know. I don't even remember what it did.
It's pronounced antidote.
They just spelled it wrong. I like that.
Before we get to the Q&A portion, let's answer the big question that everyone's been asking us on Twitter and in YouTube comments. Hey, why aren't you making X content at the moment? And to some of you, it may seem surprising that we need. Oh, I've gone to space. This is amazing.
This is like the cursed Q&A.
I am data moshed. Oh, there we go.
Oh!
Yeah. Window wipe the screen.
Oh
no. So why aren't we making X content, Graham?
Because things are bad right now.
Are they? How bad are they?
What kind of content, you say? Content like... Oh, wait, hang on. Let me just wax on and wax off. Oh, there we go. What kind of content are we not making? Friday nights, maybe? What about the panelists? What about, I don't know, a little something called Sidewalk Slam? Why aren't we making those things? That's because there's a global pandemic. And we can't be in the same room Although there is a panelists panel happening at this PAX Online that may have already happened by now. And if it has, you can check it out at our YouTube at youtube.com/LoadingReadyRun. And if it hasn't, keep an eye out for it because it's going to be fun. But that's why we aren't doing, we had plans to do all of these things and more and more. We're just hanging on and keeping doing the things that we had already said we would.
The real kicker is that they were such good plans too. They were like really organized.
We had some firm plans.
Yeah.
So, well.
Oh,
anyway, the point
yielding.
is, fleshy plans. Don't. Oh God. Anyway, the point is, bear with us. But what have we done? Check this out. We made new stuff that you can buy, physical items that can ship to you. Even you in Australia. It's expensive and takes a while, but it can get to you. We did these amazing things with Wormwood Gaming. They're wonderful and gorgeous. The Wingate Dice Vault with the precious stone turquoise inlaid in it with the Loading Ready Run logo, and Dice Friends.
I keep hearing that too.
Yeah, like a group of
is
school
that?
children. Is someone living in a haunted house? Is someone
living in a haunted school.
I'll close my window.
It's more like we're doing an episode of like Blue's Clues. It's like, can you tell us what merch we have?
We did that sketch and it turned dark, didn't it?
It's Dice Trays. Yeah, it was like
It
was like a
dark.
murder
It was
mystery.
started that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a Corpline pin, which was the Penny Arcade pin that we made for PAX East, which was the last physical PAX that any of us were at. Anyway, this stuff's all great. Upcoming in November, it's still going to happen. It's Desert Bus. We don't know what it's going to look like yet. So we can't tell you, but it will occur at this date and time.
That tagline is a threat.
Yeah.
Something will happen.
We won't tell you if it's good or bad, but it'll happen.
2020. Something will happen.
I like how your mug is the upside down Desert Bus logo.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
It was not planned, but I have always liked these mugs. It's still half full of tea, and so I am not going to turn it upside down, which I did briefly consider.
How cursed can we make one panel?
Oh boy, if I had dumped tea all over my lap, I would still wish to press forward with this panel. Because that's the commitment. It is as if we are live in the Bin Chicken Theater. No, what are the names of the theater? Wombat they have the Kookaburra.
The spiny anteater.
Sure. The echidna, is that what you meant?
I don't know.
All right.
Bird.
And the last slide before we start messing around and answering your questions. Start messing around? Whatever. This happened on Monday. I believe this is airing on Thursday, but that happened, and it was presumably a lot of fun, and you can go watch it at youtube.com/LRRMTG. Check out the Zendikar Rising pre-release. It will be and was a blast. That's it. That's the slideshow. Let's move on to your questions from you kind and wonderful people. Hi, Ian. in Australia. I love that Ian is broadcasting from a 1970s IKEA catalog.
It's aspirational.
Oh no!
Changed for some reason. Hey,
Oh,
The refresh of the camera.
The
illusion that we're in two different spaces.
That you own 1 2/3 of a TV.
No, it's so.
That is weird.
Yeah.
wait,
Dr. Kathleen Octopus.
Oh my! Oh wait! If you flip one of them, you should be able to high five himself.
Oh, this is too much work for Paul. So
Especially because he has to bring up and then read the first question.
Read these questions. How about I stop distracting him? I say, still absolutely distracting him.
I was waiting until you were done to bring up the question, but
Never.
so imagine, if you will, the LRR crew. LRR is the crew of a Federation starship.
Oh no.
Oh no.
What are your duty stations, and how do you save/endanger the ship? Or how
shit.
did you save/endanger the ship today? Rock pusher.
The
asked that.
nanites were released.
You what?
The
Always.
nanites were released.
Always with the
no.
nanites.
Is that what you mean when you say release?
Uh-huh. So that's what I'm calling right now. Is it is my job to let everyone know that somehow the nanites became released.
For those who are unaware, this was referencing What?
Yeah.
Okay, it's referencing a specific episode of Next Generation where Wesley's doing experiments on nanites, and then he leaves the lid off the jar of nanites. Literally, leaves the lid off the jar of nanites and falls asleep at his desk. And then they get out and start wreaking havoc on the station. And when he reports this to the bridge, he says, like, I was doing experiments on the nanites last night, and they were released. Like, it's the most passive voice, responsibility dodging phrasing they could have gone with. And so, yeah.
They were going to take away the pips he didn't even earn yet.
I love the idea of nanites being like like a caterpillar in a jar or something, like just like treating it the same way as having like a bug collection or something.
But every week, I mean, it's going to be the something became released. Is going to be my report back to Commander Riker to be like, and what'd you do?
Yeah.
And be like, the Targs became released.
The Beach was released.
Is this the Enterprise, or is this just like a random Federation ship?
Oh shit! Can we have an Oberth class starship instead?
I don't
Why
know
not?
what that means, but yes.
What class would you prefer, Ian?
Oh, jeez. I mean, you got to go with the classics. You got to go with the Enterprise B, the Excelsior class.
Can we be the USS Albuquerque?
Absolutely.
Why not?
Yeah,
I mean-
with our shuttlecraft Weird Al.
I like to think that I'm fairly like science or engineering minded, and so I, like it'd be nice to assume that I could be in one of those things. But, like Starfleet Academy, I would be a civilian working in like 10 Forward or whatever it is on the USS Albuquerque. Like, I wouldn't be in Starfleet.
How about we're making like a documentary about a Starfleet crew. So we're like embedded. We're like embedded with the Starship crew.
We're
Do
the
something
kooky
heroic.
guests.
Being like, just
We're the
ignore
kooky
us.
guests from one episode.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
They're like,
We're
just
annoying
like-
the real crew.
ignore us. We're just here, and then we just like get in, like stand right in front of him while he's like talking to somebody on the view screen.
Like, what is this for anyway? Well, we're making a reality show called Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect, Paul, because I thought much like Graham when that I would be in an engineering or a pilot or something like that. But the more I actually think about it today, if we're filming this as a documentary, what happened is I brought some of my homebrew on the shoot with me, and I got the engineering department way too drunk the night before the old warp tests.
And then one of us gets psychic murdered.
Only one?
And
we
it's like,
next-
oh, this is some sort of weird alien. This is
Pregnancy.
No, but this is like Cardassian ale that's totally messing everyone up. And people are like, no, it's just Ian's homebrew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
dang.
follow
What if it-
regulations.
Oh no, I am alien pregnant, and now I've been psychically murdered?
Is there like it turns out like they think that somebody like on board has beef with us or something like that because of this documentary, like who stands to look bad, but it just turns out we've been eaten by like a space squid, right? That we just happened to be passed through and like annoyed the nest of, right? And it has a taste for annoying people, right?
So I think the conclusion here is we would not be an asset to the crew of the
Full
Starship,
detriment. Full
Federation
detriment.
Starship.
You wouldn't want to put people like us on a starship in the first place.
No.
So
No.
this could be like an irresponsible Captain Tyler situation, though, where it's just like we put all the dregs of whoever got involved into a terrible ship somewhere. But yeah,
Yeah, it's like because
There
of
you
the
go,
like
Rockbusher.
because of the like post scarcity utopian nature of the Federation, we can't actually like fire you. But we're gonna try to find something that is kind of that level. We're just
yeah,
gonna try
space squid.
Kathleen, you want to read the next one?
I would like to read the next question and also say, hey, if you want me to write your games, I'll Space Squid you can have for free, but I'm sure I can come up with something just as good. Clearly, creative genius here. You've traveled a lot, either personally for Lur. Some of you have been down under for Paxos. If there is one place you could visit, either for Lur or personally, what would that be and why? I'd go to New Zealand because it's expensive.
Good bang for your buck there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll
and
go
you
to
were,
Antarctica because it's more expensive.
and I mean, you were born there.
Yes, that's why I'd like to go back.
Yeah, and I've never been. I would love to visit New Zealand. Honestly, yeah.
Fine. The moon.
Oh, super
Eat shit, Ian.
Honestly, I think we could do, if we're doing Pie in the Sky, I would love to do the Orient Express.
Oh.
Take the train all the way across, buy the handgun because you need it, and just do the whole experience. And if we're doing it as some sort of a film thing, that so much the better. But that would just be fun to do.
Holy hell, that'd be amazing.
That instead of the Trans-Siberian Express.
Well, that's too loud.
Oh.
The distortion will just really mess with the mics.
I love the idea of Antarctica, though. Like, I naturally be like, oh, there's one place, I'd like to visit again, or like to visit at all. It's like getting back to Australia would be rad, or getting to see New Zealand, or going to Japan again like I have gone to. But it's like, if there's one place you could visit, just because it's like, this is a place you could go, it's like, I kind of do want to see Antarctica now.
Is this like? I feel like this almost turns into the same thing. It's like, can we just end up like at the Antarctic Research Station making a documentary and getting in their way?
That's how all our adventures end.
Oh no, we ate all your rations. Sorry, we're leaving now.
For the final stinger, I need to learn how to speak without showing breath.
So if
and then it's just like, who left the door open? Oh, we were supposed to close the door. Sorry.
The thing was released.
Is the idea that if we were to make a feature film, it would be like, that's how it would end for us, and then be like, Lur will return in, and then it would play like the stinger, or the trailer for the next film that just is us doing the same thing, ending the same way, and then and the Loading Ready Run movie 3, and it's the same thing, but it's a different place every time, but it ends the same way with us as a documentary crew getting eaten by some sort of monster.
And never against the World Crime Syndicate.
Yeah.
We have people who haven't answered yet.
We cause all of the problems that James Bond and ilk have to solve on their world trekking courses.
I call Quantum Solace.
Yeah. I kind of have it stuck in my mind now because of the railways being brought up, of doing the entire CN rail coast to coast.
Oh.
Doing a boat trip from Newfoundland or Nova Scotia or wherever over to continental Europe and continuing the train ride,
doing
and
the
then
full,
just going over from Japan,
doing the full go around,
circumnavigate the globe.
There is a way that you can go from Canada to Canada in one continuous unbroken water trip. There's a way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Whoa!
The Northern Passage, you're saying?
Well, it's not that. It's literally, you can go all the way around the world. There's a way to actually do it, and it starts in one place in Canada and it ends up in Victoria, I believe, is the idea. And it deviates very little from an actual Great Circle.
It's around the Cape of Good Hope.
That would be a very, very long trip.
Yeah.
Yes.
We all need a vacation.
You can sign up to be a passenger on a cargo freight ship for a surprisingly reasonable rate.
Mm-hmm. If you don't need to be anywhere for 2 months.
And you don't mind. I don't know. What would you do? There's no internet.
Read a book, probably.
Blanket.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very,
yeah, work on the ship. That's what Ian means, right?
Just gamble. Just gamble. Maybe do a lot of gambling.
Double down on it. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that there was
haul the ropes aboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Swab the deck.
Oh, polish the pipes.
I remember.
Yeah.
Speaking of swabbing the deck, but there was I remember back on a long time ago, there was a show on TV that was called Tall Ship something, and it was people who were basically taking a 2-year circumnavigation, or I don't know if it was a full circumnavigation, but it was basically people were going out on like a, you know, relatively historical tall ship, you know, just average people. There was, you know, a couple. There was like you know, a minimal crew and captain, but they would also be working the ship and learning how to work the ship and then working the ship. And then they were going, but it was just like you're basically off the grid for like 2 years, and it's just like we're gonna do this.
What a sabbatical to take.
And yeah, I mean, it seemed. I think they went. They were going from the. I think they ended up going from like the East Coast over to like Australia or somewhere. So
Dang.
all the way around, probably through the Panama Canal or something. I don't
End
know.
up in Perth.
But it seemed like cool. That there was like a TV. There was a documentary crew getting in everybody's way.
And they met to mysterious ends somehow.
With a sea squid.
But yeah, sea squid is just a normal squid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh no. My writing brilliance, it's already gone.
Gilding that lily too hard.
Anyway, I mean that's not really like going to a place. That's more the actual like voyage itself. I always thought that'd be kind of a cool thing to do, but that's not
I mean,
really
if you
like.
spend enough,
I
if you
want
spend enough time on a tall ship, though, that is you're in one place for 2 years. Like that's
Yeah. But that's not like if you're curious about what a tall ship looks like. That's probably like after the first like couple days, you're probably pretty familiar with what a tall ship looks like.
Don't bring the ship of Theseus into the journey as the destination.
Oh
Anyway,
wow, yeah.
let's look at the next question here.
All right. If you could design a set of Magic the Gathering, what would the themes be? Any cards you specifically want to include? From Brillig. Thank you for the question, Brillig. This seems like something I should have thought of, but I haven't really. I've just sort of let the people who make the magic. Beach.
to answer both those questions in order. Banding and banding.
Okay.
There you go.
God damn it. Matt, you also had your hand up. Do you have a real answer, or?
Well, real kind of. I mean, my brand is goats and things like that, so I want Goat Tribal to be viable in that format, if we could make that happen.
All right.
I feel like you could probably convince Mark Rosewater to get in on that. Like he was pushing for Squirrel Tribal for a long time, and finally got it in Unstable.
Just full woodland creature tribal. Just
Like,
have it be like a farm-themed set.
Like, has there been a set actually set on Gold Meadow?
I don't think so.
All creatures are 0 power. Like, there's just no conflict in the entire set. It's just the set
So-
where you just like hang out with your friend.
Except
couple-
there is artifact equipment. That's the only stuff that gives power.
Yeah.
So it's all just goats with guns.
Goat
Yeah.
suits. I like it. I like it.
Yes.
Somebody just tied 2 swords to a goat.
Yeah, on the horns.
And you just twist the tail up and away they go. There was in the Great Designer Search a couple of years ago, several years ago now, there was one of the designers was working on a concept for a plane that was entirely underground.
Ooh, interesting.
That I think would be really interesting to explore, to the point that I think actually there might be murmurings or something that's something that may happen someday actually for real, but nothing's confirmed yet, and I know that it seemed interesting to explore how all the colors of magic would exist in a totally underground plane. I think that'd be neat, but
Yeah, they can call it Tantrum Spiral. That is a very, very niche Dwarf Fortress reference right there.
Oh, yeah, now I get it.
thank you. Okay, good.
I
You
guess I
better
have
have
to stay
dwarves in that set, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I should stay on brand and just say I just like a more historically accurate Kamigawa.
There were, a lot of the kami were inspired by sort of real folklore, but
But that's
But-
inspired by.
yeah.
Well, I mean, they don't. do actual places, right? Everything is always inspired by, because they don't want to actually run into like, they don't want to be
Copyright.
like Earth. Well, not copyright, but it's just like after Arabian Nights, they were like, okay, let's not actually make like real things. Let's make, or real existing fables. Let's make things very closely based on actual things.
Like
But
Disney
I-
movies.
But I agree with you, Ian. I would love to see a new return to Kamigawa. Many people would, but many people also would not. So we'll see how it goes.
Just a new Ice Age set.
Sure.
I would do a set. Now, see, this is obviously extremely indulgent.
Well, why not?
I would set it on Ravnica, but I would make it so in this, but it would be
In the 6th district?
It would be a 6th district set, and so there'd be no like it would be like everything would do the same amount of like points of damage and stuff like that, but it wouldn't be like it wouldn't be like a flame strike or something like that. It would be like a
Sausage
protest
sizzle.
ballot or something like that, right? It would all so it would be like very weirdly like
For those-
non-violent.
For any viewers unaware, Kathleen ran a D&D campaign set on Ravnica called By Law and Order that was all set in the 6th district of Ravnica. Because there's many districts of Ravnica, and everything, generally speaking, that happens in the magic sets are all in the 9th?
The 10th district.
10th district. But there's at least 9 other districts. And so that we never hear about. And so everything that Kathleen did was in the 6th district, and it's
Some of them
Great.
are named. Like there's some things that are named. In this district, there's this important thing, but no one had. I read all the Ravnica lore. I read all the Ravnica lore, and the 6th district never came up once. So I was like, perfect, done.
that's why you got to visit New Zealand so you can give them back the rest of their accent.
Yeah, everything except that one word.
Yeah.
Make it like a merchant's war, but it's really petty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds great.
Yeah, like one of the merchants wants to put their things in a store, and the other's like, no, you can't put it in here, and they ban them from the store.
Yeah, it's like not mind rot, it's like gut rot, and it's got like a bad sausage on the card, and it's just
Oh,
like
yeah.
a guy going like, oh.
It's like just a big food court, and people keep trying to push their terrible food at each other.
What an unappealing magic set.
How about,
Nothing happens and everything's gross.
Yeah.
How about just like Homeland's Redemption set?
Ooh.
Like Return
Why
to
not?
Homelands. This time, it's got good cards.
This time
But it's still
playable.
weirdly in packs of 8.
Yeah.
We're going clockwise, so Matt's next.
Yes. From Commander Crunch Podcast, 2020 has been a wild year to say the least. But with crisis comes change. What important lessons or changes in perspective have come from making your content this year? And are there positive next steps we can take for not only Magic, but any other spheres for LR's content? Big question. A big thing we learned, and we mentioned this in another one of the askLRRs coming out this week, is learning how to do what we're doing right now. And
Yes.
it has opened up venues of different kind of content to make.
Technically, perfectly, like we do now.
With no strange issues. That's the first time anyone's been sent to the data hell
Yeah.
through these, so that's good.
I love the idea of like what changes in perspective have you had to make, where it's like where we've had to consider things that we would do for live, for example, and we'd be like, well, naturally we have an improv segment, or we have this other kind of segment, and then to be able to say, well, we can't do that in the same way, and you can't really do like get two people in a room and have them do like the when we did Job Interview Against Humanity back in the day, or like when the waiter comes by the table and is trying to screw with people, like that kind of thing. It's like you can't do that in the same way. So you have to set up similar feeling similar feeling activities. And then, but we can also then do stuff like, well, what do we actually have in our houses? Like, we have stuff in our houses, so what can we actually utilize from a house? And that's like when I did that cooking thing that was just essentially just an excuse for a big bait and switch at the end, if you haven't seen it. And like Ian having like his workshop at home for Tinker Tailor now, having to think about a different way to do that. And I love that idea of like, how have you had to change your perspective? How have you had to readdress how we've always made our content?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, literally changing venues and changing locations has changed the type of content that I can make and how I make it. I think a lot of the cooking streams that I tried to do at the Moonbase were limited because of we were shooting in a studio without access to a full kitchen, where going and having the access to a kitchen means that I can do more.
I feel like we've also changed our perspective on the scope of the projects that we do. Like the scope of the things we do for live, for example. Like we have big scope things like Hollerwood Squares, which has 9 people in it, but we have smaller scope things in which, like, right now we're not doing pre-records for live. We'd like to, but we've changed our perspective on prioritizing those.
And I think a not insignificant part of that is everyone's just exhausted and like we're all doing our best, right? But it's like we could say like, hey, do we want to do a pre-record this time? And like technically there's nothing necessarily stopping us from doing some kind of pre-recorded video, except that it's just like we got to get all the people together and get to a place and film it, and it just sounds like hell.
And it's the stress.
Yeah.
It's the stress of having to ask all these people to, like, you know, be around other people and stuff like that. Also, what I have learned is that being sad takes a lot of time. Yeah. And you need to budget time for people to be sad. Because it sort of saps your productivity.
Yeah,
but that's actually, in a way, it's a new thing that we've never had to think about before in as heavy a thing, where it's like, if we know that we're all that everyone is kind of going through this process now, we're all more going through this process now than I think anyone has had to, and the sense that it's like, okay, then we can all be way more mindful of that, because we're all experiencing that kind of malaise at home, where we have our moments of like, damn it, today I can be productive and I can get 8 things done, and then like the next day you're like, I can't, but I can maybe do something. Even if I don't get it done, I can kind of do something.
Yeah.
And even if it's going to take me like a couple hours or even 10 minutes, and I just have to stop and have a drink and then go back and do another 10 minutes and then have a stop again, and like that, you know, it's like at least the idea of understanding what this is going on. I think it has given me a look at other people have this same issue, and it's made me a little more sensitive to that. Even if I'm not always thinking about it, it's made me a lot more sensitive to a lot of people are having these same problems in Loading Ready Run, but also outside of that too.
Like it is an interesting thing. Like as somebody who does, you know, I have had some issues with depression and anxiety, and I take medication for it and stuff. It is fundamentally, you know, those kind of mental illnesses are fundamentally a very solitary thing, because nobody else can know what you feel, right? Even
and
if
they're not
you
very
have...
visible either.
Right. But one of the weird things about this, you know, this circumstances is it's a thing that, you know, we really are, everybody in the world almost is sort of sharing a very similar circumstance, which is interesting. Yeah, it definitely does give that, you know, whereas normally, you know, if you're feeling down or whatever, the idea that somebody else would know what you're feeling is, you know, there's no way that they would know. But now you can be like, yeah, they probably understand why I can't handle this right now.
Yeah.
So I think
that's kind of an interesting idea.
it ties in well as well, Beach, to what you were saying last year, where we were trying to get ourselves down to 80%.
Yeah.
And over the course of this year, we've been doing a lot of the same things. And all that's changed is we've added a bunch more restrictions and stressors. And I think what that's done has just allowed us to get a little bit more comfortable with saying no or just changing our expectations about how things are going to go. And I think that, in terms of looking forward to the future, that's the sort of attitude that is going to hold us in very well stead going forward.
Yeah, because we finished getting RoadQuest out the door, which was a huge thing, particularly for us. It was just this massive thing. And then it was like, okay, now we have this baseline of like, this is how busy we are, this is the content we're making, and this is easily handleable. We actually have some free time. And so now we can look at what new and interesting things can we experiment? What are new things we can do? And before any of that could get anywhere, very sad cat. Before any of that could get anywhere, this all happened. And then it was like, okay, all of that stuff, none of that's happening. That's just all this stuff that we got to. Let's just keep this trucking along. And that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, the rest of that question was like, are there positive steps we can take going forward? And I think it just relates more to what you all were saying, and just have a little more empathy.
Yeah.
Realize that everyone else is struggling too.
We're all
That's
alone
about it.
together, and it'll be helpful to focus on the together part of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've thought of some really cool ways to make like the focus on magic there. It's like we've thought of some really cool ways to make our magic content in different ways than we've ever had to make it before, and I think that's been valuable too. Like it's, I hope that other people take a look at what we've been doing with either distanced events or webcam shows or like a webcam commander and stuff like that, or like trying to adapt those kind of things and be like, okay, there, I don't have to feel like this is a suboptimal way to make this. This can, the Gladiator has been a great way to fill in for a lot of those things too. And I think the positive first things for Magic is that you can convince people that there's still ways to play this, even if it means you have to make adjustments, right? We can't be playing cards where we can steal other people's cards right now, because that makes it very difficult to try to track that stuff. I've heard that over and over, and I don't play Magic, so
We did talk about that when we were doing the Commander game. It's like, hey, if you have any like control magic effects, maybe just swap those out of your deck.
Yeah,
Post-
yeah.
post
But the deck's not as good.
notes,
It's like, yeah, but you can't play them anyway, can you? Like,
Yeah.
all right, let's have that next question. Then.
This question
Yeah.
I brought up because it's sort of related. So, and you can read it out there.
Oh, I see.
So Malady Dark asks, given the success of the outdoor draft, are there plans for more distance-friendly pre-records? For example, a Summer Olympics style event. And I think we even mentioned on yet another askLR, another one of the panels for PAX Online, specifically, that we were like, oh yeah, the Summer Olympics was a thing that we did. And holy crap, we threw all that together practically overnight.
Yeah.
And then did it.
I would love to see what this, and by the way, this is no guarantee that, see previous answer, no guarantee that we will have the spoons to do this, but I would love to see what the socially distant Olympics, summer,
Fall Olympics.
autumn games would look like.
Yeah.
The socially distant autumn games is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's wearing scarves.
I mean, I guess to answer the question, no, there aren't any current plans. But
Correct.
we could make plans and then
Thank you for the inspiration.
execute on those
Yeah.
plans.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like any pre-record we're going to do from this point forward has to follow this distance-friendly thing, and whether that is if we're like, oh well, we figured out a way to do a Commodore Hustle episode, which we haven't, but if we'd figured out a way to do a Commodore Hustle episode that was distance-friendly, it'd be like, well, then let's start working on that and make that happen. And it's there are no set plans, but it's not like we're averse to that. It's just trying to cram it into the amount of work and general feeling we are having to deal with.
And cars and people.
Yeah, can I just peel back that sausage casing for a second
Yeah.
Go
and
for it.
expose our chopped pork and other spices? So typically how we film a pre-record is that we'll all decide to go somewhere, and in order to be ecologically friendly, we'll all try to jam in as few cars as possible. And then, sitting 5 people in a compact car, we will drive to a place where we will all touch the same things and our faces and not think about it, and pass like things and tools and camera equipment back and forth, and then we'll all eat in close quarters with a lot of other people, and then like probably fail to wash our hands and touch that equipment and share it amongst each other, and then go back to filming in close quarters and then get back in the same car, because that's how humans live. But
I mean, when you say it like that, yeah.
so like it's not as simple as like, well, go out to a field and wear a mask and stand far apart from each other. It's like it requires you to completely reevaluate how people get food while they're on a production where they're out and about and working outside for several hours. How do you ensure that there's food and water there?
When we were sharing a boom all the time, it's like we can't share a boom anymore unless you want to wipe the boom down every time.
Yeah, who's gonna hold the boom? How are microphones gonna work? And like those have to be sanitized between people, and like it's just a whole rainbow of problems that we have thought about, and that's why we're like, oh god, right?
Maslow's rainbow of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why that thing was in the slideshow at the beginning, because it's like we still get, I'm not calling it anyone specific, but we still get tweets occasionally that are just like, hey, you said you were going to do more Friday nights this year. When's that happening? And it's just sort of like, do you not see what's going on out there? What the hell, man? Like, it's just sort of like, well, it's a little more complicated than that. But anyway.
And spoilers, we actually have it pretty good here on the island compared to a lot of other places, and we still can't just be irresponsible.
No.
Horner!
I first got into LRR from the Wacky Draft videos, and I really missed them. Any chance of something similar returning? Well, Jazzy JRW, given that any sort of normal drafting is currently verboten thanks to this, yes?
All done, please.
All
Please,
drafts
I'm
are
all
wacky
done.
drafts.
We've proven that we can do a paper draft.
So the wacky draft, this is something James and I used to do it started on MTGO Academy, and then we started doing it on our own channel as well. And it was basically just like, it was like stipulation draft, or just like doing goofball drafting or whatever. And I had actually thought recently, and again, this is absolutely no guarantee of anything, but I had been thinking recently, I was like, that's something we should look at doing again, because that was fun, and Arena makes it way easier to just spew off garbage drafts.
That's true, actually.
And,
The fabled return of the hat draft.
Oh, we should do hats again sometime.
Or just what about a chonker draft? Everything has to have a chonker in the picture.
The chonkiest card in the pack.
Yeah.
I love it. Man.
Is it the power? Is it like a real? Yeah, like I'm sure there's a way to justify chonk in almost any card.
James is off this week, but I'm texting him anyway.
Yeah, just any card that has a big beefy boy on it,
Just send him Chonky Draft and see if he's like, is something the matter?
Just
Is
like
this some sort
idea, chonky draft, just that?
Yeah,
Is
and
this-
then in about 5 minutes, another one of those ambulances is going to pull up, and it will stop here, because Jim is going to think you've had a stroke.
Right on, Chonky Kong.
I guess we're back to you, Paul.
All right. Now, I'm going to put this question in, and I want people to just relax. It's nothing to be worried about. Will we ever see a Rogue Quest
I
Season
hate
2?
this.
And can it be Down Under?
Now, I feel like this pairs very well with the question that comes after this, and I know that because I set those two up. So if you want to see the second question and try to answer both of these, we can do that. Or we could answer this one first and then answer the next one.
No, let's see the second question.
So the second question is... here, let's add this. Second question is, with Rogue Quest finishing narrative, what are the next big dream projects? Sequest to Australia, and then Rogue Quest 3 is in Australia.
Yeah. Escape from Australia.
Because as we
Okay,
all
but
know,
can't we
filming
have-
things on the sea is much easier than on the road because
Because we don't need fucking permits.
flat.
But as Sequest told us originally, beneath the sea is the final frontier.
And as we've mentioned previously in this askLRR, we are obviously very trustworthy to get onto a boat with filming equipment, and we will not ruin a single thing on that boat.
That's true. We won't accidentally sink a freighter in the middle of the Pacific.
Never done that before.
No, it would be a fan boat.
So, Paul, you brought these up. You want to talk about them first?
I mean, okay, so for real, obviously, RoadQuest was super cool. Like it's something that we're super proud of, and we love it. Love that it exists, and obviously, you know, the idea of doing another RoadQuest has crossed our minds. It is something that we think about probably more than you do,
Yeah.
person watching this. But it was also a huge production for us, and you know was a big thing. And so, if we did another RoadQuest or something of that magnitude, I mean, it would be cool to do something like that. But obviously, it would be. I will say there are no current plans for that, aside from, you know, kind of pie in the sky stuff.
Idle chatter.
It's
But
funny. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, but I mean, in terms of sort of other dream projects, I don't know, like what would be, you know, of the sort of, if it wasn't RoadQuest 2, then, you know, some sort of, you know, big of similar magnitude project that would be fun to do.
Loading Ready
So-
Run, the video game.
So, before all this happened, you know, like there are no, and there were no plans to do a RoadQuest 2, but obviously, like Paul said, you know, it's always a thought. I have thoughts all the time about stuff that's never going to happen. Just like, you know, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And in that realm, certainly a RoadQuest 2 that took place in New Zealand was like pretty high up there, right? I was like, what would we do? What would be like a place to go if we could go outside Canada? What would be like a place? What would be a cool place to do RoadQuest 2? New Zealand would be cool.
Could we find the other country in the world the most like Canada to
Yeah.
avoid the shock to our delicate constitutions and go there?
But it would let Beach drive a ute.
Yeah. And then there's not also
is that
the
a type of bird? Like,
doing something like RoadQuest 2 in Kiwi country is nice too, because it's like you can then say we're going to travel a distance of the island and we can cover quite a bit of ground. Whereas you noticed in Canada, you can't cover quite a bit of ground.
Beach,
in
you'd get
Canada.
your Ute, I'd get my Mini, and James would get his Sunfire again.
The same Pontiac Sunfire.
Absolutely.
You know, like wouldn't that be fun? You know,
Yes.
if a second RoadQuest ever happens, that doesn't mean that it would be in New Zealand, but you know, who knows? It's funny too. 1 second, because like if post-production had gone the way we originally planned, which we had a plan for, and I've said before, for a variety of reasons, didn't happen the way that we thought it was supposed to. You know, it probably would have made sense because we shot that in summer 2018, right? So it probably would have, you know, felt natural and about the right time to, you know, maybe plan on trying a second season in summer 2020. And it's like, well, maybe these things happen for a reason. You were saying.
Electric cars next time, please.
Oh, that'd be
That'd be
fun.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
All electric cars.
Can you get electric utes?
Probably.
make it electric.
So, Graham,
Right.
there's this
You have to,
company
like,
in
find
England right now that's converting old classic minis to electric things as a thing. I
you can-
highly suggest we do this.
I know that Alex's partner had a pickup truck that was modified to be electric. And so, because what they do is they just put all the batteries in the bed of the pickup truck. So if you have a ute, that's a lot of space to just put a bunch of batteries. I'm sure somebody has... Some university has probably done that and would probably be like, I can't do this like a Kiwi, so I'm going to fuck it up and be like, I will lend you our ute. You can drive that around all you like.
Oh my god, Beach.
They want it. They want this, Graham. They want this from us. They want us to do the goddamn accent. I know that for a fact, and I know I can't do it, so there you go.
You say "the" like it's identifiable, though.
Da.
I don't have
Dick.
much of a leg to stand on in this particular arena.
I want to talk about my dick and how big my dick is. It doesn't come out the same way for me for some reason.
Get some sealant on that dick.
But it's like what got me about these two questions is it's like, hey, will you do a season 2? There's no plans to do a season 2, right? And it's like, oh, now that you've aired it, what's your next big dream project? And I'm like, but we did dream that would, like you say, we were like, oh, wouldn't that be fun? But
A normal episode of Loading Ready Live.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I can't.
Oh, that one super high concept thing that we have planned and have all the stuff for.
That we were going to
Yeah.
do in
Yes,
2020
yes.
and can't do yet.
Yeah.
Oh, only 5 minutes. Okay, before Kathleen reads the next question.
Our dreams
James
have gotten a
replied-
little smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James, all I said was idea, chonky draft, and James replied, I'm listening. That's all we've got.
Cool.
So he's...
Well, the thing that got me about this though too is it's like, I don't trust. I trust a person. For example, I trust the bunny. That if I was to say to a person at a PAX, like at our table, and be like, "So, what's your next big dream project?" And I'd be like, "Oh, this sounds like an interesting idea. We thought about that, and we could talk about that at length, like we're doing here." But it's like, I don't trust people, like our fans in the
Society.
Gestalt. That if we say something like, "Oh, well, we were thinking about doing this," that seemed like it'd be fun to do in the future. That there won't immediately be on the Discord people just being like, "They said they're gonna do this. This is the next big." It's like, we sure friggin' didn't, did we? Because and then you have to have people come in. We have to go in and say, "That's not what we said." Now there's like a thing. It's like, "But you said this." It's like, "That's not what's going on." And that's why any production company will always be like, "We don't want to talk about future projects." Unless you're like, hey, they're coming out and like, we're going to do this, starting this thing in 3 months or something like that, right?
Yep.
Alternately, Ian, I think that you and I would be good at this. If somebody says like, hey, what you got planned? You can be like, you can sort of like whisper them in like very conspiratorial, and you can be like, ultra cheese pistachio man with a lid on it. And then just like lean back and tap your nose.
And give
And then when you see that online like 2 months later, you're like, I know where that came from.
Yeah.
so you give each person like a random series of words.
An activation code. If you
Yeah.
To throw this out here, because I know
And then
this
you
is something
deny
that-
everything.
I'm going to throw this idea out here because I know this is something that will never happen, just by the nature of how niche it is, but it's something that I absolutely desperately want to do now that I've started, is I want to do a tokusatsu short series.
Oh, that'd be fun. Rubber suits and
Rubber suits,
transformations.
lots and lots of miniatures that we can film against to film giant things, and lots of in-camera effects. Nothing
yeah.
but in-camera effects.
That sounds fun as hell.
Yeah, and until we can all touch each other, that's
Let-
probably never going to happen.
We should do an episode of Commodore Hustle like that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
All right, the
Let's
last
talk.
question, I think.
All right, last question, Kathleen.
All right.
Be very
Hard-hitting,
fast.
hard-hitting question.
Why are you all so cool? I'm insecure and faking it.
I keep the windows open.
I was bullied as a child.
I don't give a fuck what you think about me.
I own a didgeridoo.
It's like coming home, isn't it, guys? They're probably thinking, I think I hear that from outside all the time.
Yeah.
I'm glad you started actually doing something with it, because it was just one solid tone.
Yeah.
And it just sounded like an animal dying.
I haven't learned circular breathing.
what is it? The description? It's like a trombone with the flu.
I don't think I'm cool, but it warms my heart that someone else thinks that I might be. So, oh, there's the 5 top,
All right.
which I guess means it's over. Hey, if you have been watching this and you have no idea who we are, I'm really sorry.
You must be bored.
But you can
Thanks for
check us
sticking
out.
around to the end.
You can check us out on Twitch at LoadingReadyRun, on YouTube at LoadingReadyRun. If you only like magic stuff, you can check us out on YouTube at LRRMTG. We're LoadingReadyRun. Go to loadingreadyrun.com. There it links to all of our stuff. But if you are aware of whomst we are and you gave us questions or anything, thank you so much for watching. Cheers to you down there and us. We were really looking forward to coming back to PAX Australia this year because it was it's the 2-year cycle. You know, we're
gonna send people
We were
who
gonna-
you hadn't seen before.
You guys had such a hard year down there.
Yeah,
all the
we were
fires and
we were like, man, we were talking to the PAX Aus organizers at PAX East, and we were like, man, Aus has had Australia's had a really rough time this year, and we would love to send like a bunch of folks. It could just to make you feel worse now. Yeah. We want to really go down there and really do PAX Aus, and then it was like, actually, do you remember that the Australian wildfires were this year? They sure were, but now the whole world's fallen down. So we'll come back when we can.
When we can, we will send all of us though.
Yeah.
Because we'll have pent up demand.
12. That's like 12 people. But
I'll take
as
so many
as we can.
cockatoos out of your ecosystem.
PAX or Australia has a really tough time, so we'll come and film a documentary and be eaten by local wildlife.
You're welcome.
take that, biodiversity laws.
Goodbye, Australia, New Zealand, and all you wonderful people in this time zone. Later. Yeah, you can play us out.